Hi there and welcome to this look at the October weather prospects. Things are starting off on a very unsettled note. We've got a deep area of low pressure to our south which has been named Storm Alex by Meteo France. Now that is bringing a lot of rain to much of southern and central Britain today, and it will continue to be a big influence on our weather during the coming days. But how are things looking in the longer term? Well, the TWO monthly forecast headline is for temperatures to be close to or slightly below the average and rainfall to be above the average. So let's come back to the short term and take a look at some of the accumulated rainfall forecasts from the GFS model. So if I bring this chart up first, it shows the forecast rainfall in millimetres for the next 5 days. What you can see is down here in southern and central areas, we've got a forecast of between 60 and 80 millimetres of rain, slightly more locally according to this. So it is going to be very wet, and much of that rain is likely to be during the next few days, so this weekend in particular. It's also wet up in eastern parts of Scotland, with 60 to 70 or even 80 millimetres forecast there. But in other parts of the UK it does look a little bit drier. Now if I jump ahead to the next chart, which shows the 0 to 10 day accumulation, you'll see that here in the south things haven't really changed a great deal. We've got forecast totals between 80 and 90 millimetres. If I just jump back to the 0 to 5 day chart, what you can see is the totals there were up to about 80 millimetres. So days 5 to 10 haven't produced a great deal of additional rain. But if you look up to the northwest, what you can see is now this is where the highest totals are forecast to be, with 114 millimetres there in northwestern Scotland. If I just again flip back to the 0 to 5 day chart, you'll be able to see the increase there quite well. So for days 0 to 5, we've got rainfall totals of between 30 and 50 millimetres in the northwest of the UK. Then if we jump forward to days 0 to 10, we can see that the totals has gone up to about over 100 millimetres in places. So that indicates that during the 5 to 10 day period, most of the rain is likely to be in the northwest. So a more typical pattern beginning to reassert itself there, probably with areas of low pressure becoming centred closer to the northwest of UK rather than to our south, as is the case at the moment with Storm Alex. Now I'll go to the 16-day GEFS ensemble forecast to look a little bit further ahead. This is the plot for London, and I've annotated it just to make things a little bit clearer. What we can see there is the horizontal axis is time, so it starts today and it goes out to about the 18th of October. The top half of the plot shows 850 HPA temperatures. Those are at approximately 1,500 metres above sea level. The reason we use those is because they don't really vary between the day and the night, so they give a good indication of the air mass which is above us. And on the bottom half of the plot, we've got forecast rainfall. So as I said, in the short term, it's a very, very wet picture indeed in southern parts of the UK. The very wet conditions look like continuing until about the 7th of October. Beyond that, it looks as though it will still be quite unsettled. Maybe high pressure won't be dominating completely, but the chance of dry days does increase through this period. So from about the 7th or the 8th of October, right through to the end of this plot, which is in the middle of the month. You can see, as I say, there are still rainfall spikes here from the 7th to the middle of the month, so it's not a completely dry picture, but certainly it looks drier than what we're experiencing in the short term, so hopefully flooding concerns will ease by then. On the top half you can see that 850 HPA temperatures are forecast to dip to below the 30-year average through this period which I've highlighted, so from about the 7th through to the middle of the month, to about the 14th of October. And combined with the drier days, it's quite possible that by then there will be an increase in risk of nighttime frost and fog, even in southern counties, but more particularly the north. I'll just jump up to Glasgow to show you the picture in the northwest. It's quite similar, to be honest. In the short term, it's perhaps not just as wet as in the south, and that really fits in with what I was talking about. But then, as it turns drier in the south, between the sort of 7th and the 11th of October, up here in Glasgow, it remains pretty wet, probably because we've got areas of low pressure by then centred to the northwest of the UK. Nonetheless, beyond the into the middle third of the month, it does seem to be turning drier up there too. So I think we'll probably find high pressure beginning to have more influence in all parts of the UK from about the 10th, 11th of October. So temperatures, this is the 15-day 2-metre temperature anomaly forecast chart from the GFS. So in other words, is it going to be colder or warmer than the 1981-2010 average? According to this projection, it's going to be a little bit colder. That again ties in quite well with what I've been discussing. I've circled the UK here, so you can see the anomalies forecast to be maybe between 1 and 3 Celsius below the 30-year average. Also, if you note, the cooler than average conditions are extending across France, much of Spain and Germany and the Low Countries. So the cooler conditions look like affecting much of Western Europe during the first half of October. Now, the second half, we'll take a look at these charts from the European ECM model. This is for the period 19th of October to the 25th. Temperature anomaly by then, I've circled the UK here, but by then you can see there's no anomaly showing. So no bias towards warmer or colder than average conditions. In terms of precipitation, if anything, it looks like it could be slightly drier than average in parts of the UK, but again, there's no real bias in much of the country, so no strong signal in the forecast model here. I'll jump a week further forward, so this is the 26th of October to the 1st of November. By then again, there's no bias in the temperature anomaly forecast. No strong signal, in other words. If I scroll down to the precipitation anomaly forecast, you'll see there's a little bit of blue shading appearing in parts of central and eastern Britain there. That would indicate the likelihood of wetter than average conditions beginning to return, but it's a long way off. The signal isn't at all strong. In fact, in the northwest of the UK, this orange shading indicates possibly drier than average conditions during this period. It is something to keep an eye on though, and it indicates that by then perhaps high pressure will be beginning to have less influence, at least across the southern and eastern parts of the UK. So to summarise, temperatures are forecast to be close to or slightly below the 30-year average and rainfall above the 30-year average. However, the wettest conditions are likely to be in the first 7 to 10 days of the month, and we may well find a drier and more settled period developing during the middle third of October. As ever, remember that long-range forecasts for the UK do tend to have a very low skill level, and things can and do go wrong quite often. So at the moment, that's what things are looking like, but they could well change in the coming days and weeks. Thanks for watching now. Bye.